Hi, welcome to another episode of Professional Spotlight. I'm Shuvi Powers. I'm the Director of PR and Social Media with Girls in Tech. My guest is Yvonne. She is the founder and chief consultant of Engineers Playground, where she trains students and teachers to develop STEM curricula. She has a bachelor's degree in mechanical and aerospace engineering with Princeton University, and she also has her master's in mechanical engineering with U of M. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So take a minute and tell us about how you first got interested in technology.
I have to say that my interest in technology started with my father. My mother was great at teaching me about math and science, but my father was all about the technology. He taught me how to use tools, and then when the computer age hit and you could get a computer at home, he taught me how to build a computer as well as how to program it in hexadecimal and then eventually with words.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So it goes way back, okay?
Way back, yes.
All right. Tell us a little bit about what you do at work.
At Engineers Playground, I do basically three types of things. I use my head and I learn about new technologies. Even though I have a degree in mechanical and aerospace engineering, I actually did automation engineering, so it requires me to learn about computers, electronics, as well as mechanics in there. So I'm constantly learning about all of those aspects through reading, but then I do projects to try to see if I can actually make things. For example, I learned how to make a switch using only cardboard and aluminum foil.
Oh, wow.
And then I figure out how I'm going to teach those to teachers so that they can teach it to their children and it can be engaging for them.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, over the years, have you increased your skill set aside from just reading? Have you attended different conferences, or what have you done?
I definitely attend conferences. It's something that really helps in learning, because I learn best from people, and I learn best by doing. Reading is one aspect, but it's only one part of it, and I actually love interacting with people and getting new ideas going. I also take a look at YouTube is a great resource for me as well. But really, I try to join clubs and also just have conversations with people who are doing neat things.
Okay, that's great.
You know, I just randomly look for technology. Like, I just found this Piranha LEDs, which have these really bright LEDs. They're about this big that you can put onto things and just shine up a whole room. And so I just happened to find it on a website. Electronic Goldmine is a great one. SparkFun is another one. I found out the technology, and then I looked on YouTube to see sort of how people use it and how to put it together.
Okay, cool. So if you weren't doing what you were and you could do something else, what would that be?
What would that be? I'd love to be a movie critic. I love watching movies and TV, and actually that's one of the things that the teachers always say. I always refer to, oh, have you seen Dirty Jobs? Oh, have you seen Sister Act? And they go, what? You watch so many movies, and it'd be really cool to get paid for it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So what's the best career advice that you've ever gotten?
The best advice I got, I think there are two pieces that came from my father, actually. One was make sure that you have all your debts paid so that you can actually make decisions that are good for you.
That's a really good one.
Not money-based, yep. And then the other was sort of related to that, of doing things that I would be doing a job that I would learn something from and find fun, which was weird as a Chinese parent for him to say the word fun. I was like, who are you and what alien has possessed you? But he said that to my sister 11 years later when she was thinking of leaving her job to do freelancing, and he said the same thing to her. So I guess it was something he actually believed in.
Yeah.
It's been serving me well.
Yeah, that sounds like a good advice. Tell us a little bit more about Engineers Playground.
Sure. Engineers Playground actually started off as a blog. I actually was blogging while I was teaching my teachers and describing sort of my perspective of seeing them discover the world of engineering and technology. And then it became more of an advice thing. People ask about how to get girls into STEM. Did I have any advice? Some people asked about different projects that I've done or what to buy their children for Christmas. And so I'll blog a little bit about that. But then it turned into a website of resources because people just wanted to have the information.
Yeah.
And now it's a newsletter, a Facebook page, and then I also do professional development and webinars and consulting.
Wow. So can anybody sign up for this newsletter?
Anybody can. If they go onto my website.
How do they do that?
Yeah, if they go onto the website, Engineers Playground, engineers with an S, playground.com.
Okay.
And they go down to the bottom, it says join the newsletter. Perfect. And they have past newsletters too.
Okay.
The old ones.
Okay, that's really good to know. So we hear you wrote a book. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, the book that I wrote was Engineering for the Uninitiated, an introduction to engineering for parents and teachers, mainly because a lot of parents and teachers said to me, I hear that my children, particularly parents would say, I hear my children would be really good in this thing called engineering, and I have no idea what it is.
It's mystical.
It is very mystical, and then eventually technology is, so I'm actually thinking of eventually writing a little series on computer science and computers, because people think only about working on their computer.
Yeah.
But anyway, engineering was sort of my first one, and basically I start with like having people get an engineering eye, so they look out into the world and be able to see all the things that engineering has influenced, and then they learn a little bit more about some of the traits that make a good engineer, so they can identify them in their children, and then how that translates into jobs and majors, and then how that also then I deal with what I call the social justice issues, the fact that there's a lot of people out there who assume certain people can't do engineering. And so I discuss gender, I discuss race and economic background, and I discuss physical and learning disabilities as well.
So are you breaking through some of those stereotypes that are...
Every single lesson and curricula that I do with teachers, I bring up all of these different aspects of stereotypes that people have had, or even just stereotypes that people impose upon themselves. That, sometimes girls, for example, will withdraw and not engage because they don't think they're as good, and they let the boys do all of the work. And so I teach teachers how to intervene with that and really create an environment and create projects that will engage them. So for example, I had a fashion major work with me as a student when I was teaching at the university. And she said, can you teach me how to make circuits, because I want to put LEDs in my dresses? And I'm like, sure. So she and I are getting together, and I'm showing her how to use conductive thread to sew LEDs into her clothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not traditional. We're just kind of stepping out and being creative.
And that's the thing that I think that STEM, like technology and engineering and science and all that, is a creative tool set. Like if you are a creative person, learning more about these things will just give you more paintbrushes. It's equivalent to paintbrushes and scissors and tools.
Colors,
It just adds a new dimension. And so it's so sad that so many people, especially girls, are so creative. And they shy away from the STEM and technology areas when they are a fantastic tool for them to do amazing things.
Right. Sometimes ideal candidate for those tools.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if you were an inanimate object, what would you be?
An inanimate object? Someone had asked me once if I was an office supply, what I'd be. So that might help me narrow it down a bit. And I told them, I said I would be a Post-it note. Because
why?
I always have these pieces of information, and then I can I always take Post-it notes and stick them up and then try to see different patterns. And that's a lot of how I create different curricula and different exercises, by sort of seeing what are similar and what are different and moving them to another place and moving them. I'm a very visual person too. And so writing things on a piece of paper doesn't always help. Seeing it really helps.
Well, that's a good advice for anybody that wants to visualize. Just start putting a bunch of notes and then see where the pattern falls. I like it.
Exactly. And that's what I hope I do when I work with other people, just to see new patterns.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any last words for our viewers?
I think that one of the biggest things is that girls have such great potential, as I said, to contribute so much, and especially in the field of computer science and computers, their participation, women's participation in that field was at an all-time high of 38% or so in 1986, and that was even through the dot-com boom. So it's so sad for me to see that this potential is not being filled because a lot of girls feel that they're not that right personality. But the fact is that there are so many personalities that can use the tool, and again, it's a tool. It's not a way of living. I know so many women who are in computers who are all these different types of people, and to have girls really look into that as a possibility would be a fantastic thing. And that who the girl is, whoever she is, whether she's quiet or she's tomboyish, or she loves art, or she loves to read, it doesn't matter. All of those skills are needed to make the fields go further.
Yeah.
So girls don't have to be a different person to go into computers or technology. They just have to be themselves and bring that to the table.
Right, because we need different perspectives.
Yes.
We need input from women, we need input from male. We want to be able to design things and create things that benefit everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Professional Spotlight. I'd like to give a shout out to Olson for hosting us again. And also, if you have not signed up for the Girls in Tech newsletter, please do so. That's the best way to learn about any new upcoming events. That's it. Thank you. Bye-bye.